Let's go ahead and get right into it, man. I took a lot of notes this week because it was a lot going on. It was a lot going, and they only had 3 days of trial this week. 3 days. I don't know if somebody got sick. Y'all let me know what happened. Why they ended up taking 2 days off. I know that when they came back on Tuesday, the law and crime video was only like 8 minutes long. I watched it. I was live watching it. I turned my head for a quick second. I came back and the video was over. So I'm like, I don't know what happened. But I guess somebody was sick. I just didn't hear the name of who they said was sick. So if y'all know what really happened with that, you let me know. But pretty much Monday started out. Now let's get right into the proceeding. Let's get right into what was going on this week in trial. So pretty much Monday started out still David Quinn, former investigator, former was a detective. David Quinn was still on the stand, and they were still showing that interrogation video. And I thought it was interesting that they showed parts. So pretty much before, when we listened to that 2 hour recording, the only things that we heard were stuff that was said while he said Lil Rod got sick. Things that were said while the Detective Quinn was sitting right in front of. They said Lil Rod was sick. I thought you was joking. Who was Lil Rod? Which person's Lil? That was one of the defendants. Lil Rod. I can't think of Lil Rod. Lil Rod. Okay, I'm trying to picture Lil Rod is who? Is that who's being defended by Mr. Weinstein? I feel like that's what it is. All right, so y'all let me know. But so Quinn was only recording the stuff that the guy was right in front of him for, right? That that Mr. Bean was right in front of him for. So when he left the room, we actually got to hear or see what Adrian Bean was doing when Quinn wasn't in front of him, and we could hear him also. So you could hear Adrian Bean when Quinn left the room. Adrian Bean is saying pretty much like, "Man, I don't shoot nobody, I don't rob nobody, I don't do nothing like that, man. I just sell drugs. That's all I do is sell drugs." And he kept just repeating it. I'm just like, he's saying it's like selling drugs is also not a crime that he can also be put in prison for. Like, if your whole goal is to not go to prison, why are you saying I don't do this one crime, I do this other crime? Just repeating it, just like he was chanting it to himself. In this, he was chanting that I don't rob people, I sell drugs, like in the police station, in an interrogation room. I'm just like, what's up with this dude? But I just thought that was silly. That was just funny to me that he would just sit there and keep doing it. Another thing I thought was interesting, and y'all let me know if y'all realize this or if y'all noticed this. Detective Quinn, although he was not, Detective Quinn was not at the scene of that crime, right? That whole September 11th thing. He wasn't there as a witness to the crime. He came after the fact. He didn't see anybody crash into a building. He didn't see anybody run. He didn't see any of that. He collected that information from the people who were there, right? But it's interesting that the prosecution asked Quinn in this entire situation. They've been interviewing people. They've been having people testify for the last like month and a half about this September 11th, 2013 event. And they have asked none of the eyewitnesses, nobody who was actually on the scene and saw the incident happen. They didn't ask a single one of those people to point out Jeffrey Williams in the courtroom to say that that was the fourth person that got away. Not a single person. So now this tells us now we get a better understanding as to why the state decided to use the interrogation video on top of that 2 hour recording. Well, actually, Brian Steele used the 2 hour recording, but it tells us why the state actually used the 2 hour recording with Quinn. They used it because in that recording, Quinn walks in with a picture of Young Thug, Jeffrey Williams. He said, is this who you calling Thug? Is this Young Thug? And Adrian Bean says, yes, that's him. And then Simone Hilton paused the video and says, who is that person in that picture right there, Quinn? He's like, that's Jeffrey Williams. He's like, do you see Jeffrey Williams in the courtroom? He's like, yeah. Can you tell us where he's at? That whole thing, right? So essentially, this is the first time that they are identifying Young Thug in relation to this incident at all. But the trick of it is it's like a jury trick, and I don't think it's gonna work because it was kind of foolish. It was weird. I hope it doesn't work. It kind of tricks the mind into believing, and it would trick the jury's mind into thinking, oh, that's the Jeffrey Williams from the September 11th event. But really, that's the Jeffrey Williams that Detective Quinn just had a picture of. It doesn't mean he was connected to this incident at all in any way. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they had the lady who was there, who was driving that Ford Taurus that day of the incident. They had her there, the one who actually said it was a woman that jumped out and ran. They had Robeson L, who said he saw the people coming from the robbery and jumping into the car. He was there. They had Black, who also saw them run. They had the rookie cop who was there. I think her name was Ashley. They had the dude, Nava Flores, who was there, who actually on the recording from back in 2013, who said that he actually saw 4 men get into his car. You have all of these people that actually testified already, and they didn't ask a single one of them, was Jeffrey Williams the person that you saw that day that either ran away or jumped into your car? They didn't ask any one of them that question. That tells me that the state doesn't really know who that other person is. They're trying to put it on Young Thug. They don't know. I'm not saying that it wasn't him, because a lot of people that keep jumping in the comments keep saying, bro, it was him. He was there. It was for sure him. I'm not going to say that. But if y'all say it, I'm not going to stop you from saying it. But I'm saying that the state 1000% does not have any proof of it. They so much so don't have any proof of it. It also comes out that there's another officer who did interviews at that time. I think the officer's name is, let me pull up the name of the officer. The officer's name, oh man, let me see here, because they discussed this. Oh, Officer Lewis. Remember they kept talking about Officer Lewis on Monday, right? Brian Steele and Attorney Hilton argued about it because they were saying, we're not calling Officer Lewis. Even though Officer Lewis was one of the ones who were going around the hospital interviewing some of the suspects. So she would be one of the people that have information. She also was one of the ones who gave a report, or gave 2 reports, supposedly 2 reports over to Detective Quinn. And one of those reports had incomplete information, or some stuff was whited out, as they called it, right? So how is it possible that the state is not calling Officer Lewis to testify in this situation when Officer Lewis was one of the people that interviewed these guys? They have all of these other people testifying about this situation, but they're not having this one specific person that gave an incomplete report. Why is that person not there to clear up why this report is incomplete? Right? So the state purposely didn't reference that report because they didn't want to discuss it. And Brian Steele referenced it, but then the judge wouldn't allow him to talk about the contents of the report. It was pretty much said that it's inadmissible because you don't have any foundation. The reason you don't have any foundation is because it's from a person who's not testifying. Right? So the judge and Hilton, they're like, yo, you could call Officer Lewis to testify if you want, but we're not calling. So since we're not calling him, since we're not calling her, then there's no foundation that has been laid yet for you to even mention the contents of that incomplete report that has whited out information on it. So I thought that was very tricky an incident. And that goes into this whole Brady thing, right? That whole evidence and handing over evidence and all that type of stuff. The state has been playing some tricky games, but it's weird because do y'all want to prove y'all case or y'all just trying to, it seems like the case is playing a reasonable doubt game. I mean, the state is playing a reasonable doubt game. Why is the state playing a reasonable doubt game? Like, maybe it was Young Thug. There's enough people that put Young Thug's name in it. And by enough people, we're saying 2. The person who made that anonymous phone call to 911, they didn't say Young Thug was part of that event, but they said Young Thug or somebody ran into my apartment, but the jury never heard him say Young Thug. So that's one person. And then Adrian Bean back in 2013 said Young Thug was involved, but no other eyewitness puts him there. So they're just like leaving it up in the air they're just leaving it up in the air like, hey, maybe it was Young Thug, maybe it wasn't, but you should really kind of think it's Young Thug. Like, why is the state playing that type of game? I don't understand at all. When I look to this way, it's because I'm looking at my TV with the notes and stuff on it. That's a big screen I got over here, so I can see it pretty good. Again, Adrian Bean is the only witness in this entire situation that said that Young Thug was there. The cop, none of the other cops said it. Robeson L, who saw them up close, Robeson L said he was just a few feet away from all 4 people in the car. They didn't say, was that man Jeffrey Williams in that car? They didn't ask him that. Makes no sense to me. So one of the more interesting parts about this, and I don't have a clip of it right now, but one of the more interesting parts of this whole Quinn testimony, and it turns out he's actually not even done. I don't know why they took Quinn off the stand to bring in this lady, but we'll get to her. one of the more interesting parts that happened this week from Quinn's testimony was the fact that he said he actually, as he was working in a side job at Neiman Marcus in Lenox Mall or out in Buckhead, he saw Young Thug. He actually said he saw Young Thug a few weeks after this incident. And he said he saw Young Thug come into Neiman Marcus. And he told Thug, hey, come here, let me talk to you. And he pretty much told Thug, now this goes against something I said previously. He told Thug, hey, you know, your man Adrian Bean put your name in this situation. And he's like, pretty much, we don't have no evidence right now, but we running our testing at the GBI. You can either come in and give us your fingerprints and let us test it, or we're gonna test these firearms anyway. If we get your fingerprints, we coming to get you. So I guess Thug declined to come, but you know, he told Quinn pretty much do what you got to do. And Quinn, they went with the GBI testing and everything like that, and it came back inconclusive. Like the firearms came back, some of the firearms came back inconclusive, meaning they say there's too many fingerprints on there for them to get one and make a matchup for it. That's what they say. So I guess he said he saw Thug again shortly after that in the mall again. And he told Thug, hey, pretty much we're not able to pin it on or to connect you to it because we couldn't get the fingerprints off of that gun. It was inconclusive. So you're free to go. And he told him, he said, I saw Thug and I told him straight like this, go make your $1 million and stay the fuck off of Cleveland. Pretty much like you got away this time. Don't come back over around here because eventually if you do, you're going to get in some more stuff and we're going to get you next time. So just keep it in mind. Go get your money. You're about to blow up. Go get your money. Stay away from over here because there's nothing but trouble over this joint, right? So he said that he said that when he saw Thug that second time, that's what he told him. And pretty much Thug went and did that, except he kind of stayed connected to a lot of what was going on over there. I don't know how much connection he had to it. I mean, I have a little bit of information because I was around some people at that time, 2015, but I'm not going to say it on here. However, Thug definitely went and blew up. He blew up big time. I guess he just kept some affiliations that will make a case like this possible. And what I really thought was crazy is that Thug seen him again after the second time, or he might have seen him multiple times again after that in the mall. And Thug actually had him approached him with his sister and offered Detective Quinn a job working security for him. Thug, as he travels the world, and like, yo, you come be my private security as I travel and stuff like that. And I just heard that and I'm like, yo, Thug really felt like he was thinking like he was a mob boss type of person. Like when you get to the level of you make it about the streets and now you want to like hire the police that's investigating your homeboys, like, cause y'all got to think about it. If this if these meetings or these encounters happened back in 2013, Quinn was still investigating DK and Adrian Bean and all of them for that incident. He was still investigating at that time. So you was thinking like, I'm about to take him off the city payroll and I'm gonna put this cop on my payroll. You was really thinking that you was a mob boss. That's really like some mafia type stuff right there. But Quinn said that he declined, but he did say he got Young Thug's sister Dolly's number, and they showed it in court that he had that contact ever since that day, I guess, back in 2013. So I just thought I see it's a lot of comments in there, and I'm gonna try to read them. But y'all giving some good engagement. I appreciate that. Make sure you like this video, please. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. But yeah, I thought that was wild of Thug to be like, yo, come work for me, my boy. Come sit on my team. And then we got on cross-examination. And the cross-examination was a lot shorter than I expected it to be. Hold up. Let me sneeze right quick. Okay, can y'all hear me again? Excuse me. Yeah, I had to sneeze. So cross-examination was pretty short, and it started out with Max Shard. And that was funny because Shard's defendant, the person that Shard is representing, Shannon Stillwell, his is nowhere near this incident. So I think Max Shard just liked action. I think he just liked to get in the mix, like, because he asks good questions and he gives some good pushback and he gives interesting things. So I thought it was interesting that he jumped up there first, like, let me just throw this thing in. And pretty much the whole thing that Max Shard was asking him about, very short cross-examination, like 20 minutes. He was just asking him about destroying evidence and has he ever destroyed evidence, stuff like that. And pretty much the judge told him, yo, go sit down. Like pretty much just like your client ain't even involved, like go sit down. And then Attorney Matthews get up there and he starts to talk about also pretty much about how Quinn's ideology around if you only have one witness saying something and you don't have any other evidence of a thing or any other evidence that a person is guilty of a thing or a person committed this act, he normally does not make arrests in those situations. So that was pretty much so Shard came up there, his whole thing was destroying evidence. Matthews came up there, his whole thing was only one person saying it, like only one witness only one witness with the story, and there's no other evidence to corroborate it. And then Brian Steele came in for what we would call the slam dunk, right? And I see what you said, Tamika. I get it. Wait, no, that wasn't Tamika. That was Love Moore. All of these lawyers definitely are working together. So I get that the team, that the whole defense side will send somebody like Shard, even though Shard's client is not involved in this incident. They'll send like Shard will go up there, ask some questions, really that'll lead. They're like throwing each other alley-oops pretty much. So I do understand that part. It's just funny that I think Max Shard is always like one of the first ones up to do that. So let's see. We got so then Brian Steele comes up there and he starts out pretty much talking about Adrian Bean. And he's talking about, let me see. And that's where they get into the whole argument about Officer Lewis's report not being allowed to be used in this situation because she's not testifying. So, and now this is what I thought was interesting, right? They said that they said that Officer Lewis's report couldn't be used until she testifies, pretty much, right? Because there's no quote unquote foundation or no need for it. But just a week ago, when they argued about Courtney Bean's voice or Courtney Bean's pretty much testimony over the phone being used, and Brian Steele gave pretty much the exact same argument that the state gave this week, but the judge allowed Courtney Bean's recordings to be used, even though she's saying Thug's name. She's pretty much making accusations, but she's not giving the defense, quote unquote, the opportunity to face their accuser or cross-examine. The defense should have a right to do that, but they can't do it because supposedly we are not offering this evidence for the facts of the matter. It is for the effect on listener. Like that whole argument that they had. But, you know, this police report from Lewis, who interviewed all these people in the hospital, they're not allowed to use that. And I think that's way more relevant to this situation than Courtney Bean, what she was saying on the phone about what her neighbor came and told her, or what whoever's baby dad came and told her, baby mom came and said to her. She was allowed to, they was allowed to put all of that in front of the jury. But an actual police officer's report, that's not admissible. That's inadmissible. One of y'all help me out. Help me out in the comments. Y'all make that make sense for me, please, please, please. Please, please. And they telling me, they telling us that that Officer Lewis has to testify for this for a police report to be valid, to be admissible. Is that always the case? Because that's very odd to me, right? So then that pretty much takes us to that pretty much takes us to the end of the day on Monday, and then they take a good brief break. Not a brief break, but they took a 2-day break, right? And then they come back Thursday, hot off the press, with an argument. And the argument was about a witness that was essentially hostile from the gate, who failed to appear in some previous dates. So the state had to go arrest her. And now they're arguing about, because, you know, first of all, arguing about, let me see what, because they was arguing for a minute about this, and I thought it was odd. They subpoenaed her. She didn't show up. The state asked for her not to be shown on camera for safety concerns and security and stuff like that. And multiple defense attorneys stood up and said, absolutely not. She need to be shown on camera. They did not. Y'all didn't show us any sufficient proof that she has any type of security issue. There's no problems with her. And the state and Judge Glanville pretty much agreed that after what went on with Adrian Bean, like if a witness is feeling like they're at danger or they feel like they might lose out on something because of this trial, it's just better to just let's leave them hidden, especially because especially because the young lady, Miss Bennett, who we're talking about now, Miss Bennett actually told the prosecution that she was thinking about harming herself because of what the harassment that has been going on due to this case. Now, let me jump forward a little bit. Of course, after hearing her speak, she clearly is not really feeling like she's not feeling like harming herself. She just knew that would be the only way to get Miss Love to stop bothering her. But she didn't realize that there's like 100 Miss Loves in Fulton County. So they're not going to stop bothering her. If Miss Love can't talk to her, they'll just get somebody else to contact you. And pretty much that's what they did. So they didn't leave her alone at all. So pretty much the way that everything went with Adrian Bean informed how they're handling this witness right here. And so they allowed her to event. So the judge said, yeah, man, completely keep her face off the camera. Like, we're not going to do that to her. And I don't really have a problem with it. Like, it was, it was what it was. Now, so then, man, it was, now y'all let me know, because I had tweeted this yesterday or today.